Uncle Bob says you really should buy a house. Mum and Dad say just get a unit. The age-old arm wrestle between unit versus house. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it right now.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes, episode 490 with myself, Michael Berger, and Mark Novak. The battle, houses versus apartments. How have they gone over the last 10 years? But no, we really want to drill down to how have they gone in the last 12 months? Is there a change? Why is there a change in what areas? Because let's face it, COVID 2020, 2021 has been a very interesting property market. A lot of agents have had to pivot. A lot of purchasers, a lot of people have had to pivot from maybe working in the office to a house. And how has that affected the property market? Mark, maybe go through the typical, the old-fashioned comments of houses versus units. What was preferred? What's the backbone?
Don't buy a unit. You should buy a house. House much better to have land.
Full brick.
Full brick house.
Full brick. Yeah, because that's a big sentiment.
I helped you.
That's always been a big sentiment, especially the older generation. My parents, no, everyone. They've always like, buy the house. You own the land.
Yeah.
Do you think that is still as relevant now, or do you, like, Strata's come a long way? The big probably disadvantage, the person who says buy the house versus a unit is like, you don't own the land. Other people can sort of tell you what to do or stop you doing what you want to do. But I think cutting through all of that, the end of the day, especially more so now than maybe ever before, there's a big difference in price point. As much as it says, great, buy a house, but if a house is $2 million and an apartment's $1 million, like, there's a big difference. So, but yeah, like, where do you want to go with this? You want to talk about just the growth initially, just the big difference on the northern beaches for houses and units?
Yeah, look, and this applies to across Sydney and across Australia. These sort of these facts that we're going through. But I think you're right. Probably the number one outstanding thing is it's driven by price. That a buyer simply doesn't have the deposit or the capacity to borrow the money, wage, whatever, to actually go whole hog into a house. And I think that there is that sentiment in the market that maybe the house is not going to do the unit's not going to do as well with the growth. That it's a more expensive investment to have, i.e. strata levies, and it's just so common. And I think you've got to be factual about this. And I think this morning, with some of the facts that we're going to go through, we're going to line up both of them next to each other. And I think we're really going to make people have a good think about what is over the next 5-10 minutes. What is the better investment? What is not the better investment? Clearly, there's a good market for both. Units sell well, houses sell well, but clearly there's this arm wrestle between people that have a belief system that houses just perform better than units, or sometimes vice versa.
Yeah, and I wouldn't mind saying sometimes in a bad time it emphasizes what people really want, and I think that could explain the big difference in growth. So let's have a look at this. I'll bring up this chart. I'll zoom in. Let's look at Warriewood. Warriewood's a good suburb because there's a lot of house sales and there's a lot of unit sales. So it's a good suburb to compare.
Now, also, just so you know, everyone, if you're not in the Northern Beaches, this definitely applies. The reason we've chosen this also is because it's just a great cross section of offering both units, townhouses, and houses. So we just wanted to give everyone a cross section. So you can apply this to all different parts of Sydney, even Australia.
Yeah, and look at what we look at, and then compare it to your area. Like houses have done 41% in the last 12 months. 41%. And what I mean by when I said when times are tough, then it sort of reflects what people really want. So we can see here with what's happened this year, people didn't run to, I want to be in an apartment if I can't be working in the city. It sort of drove everyone to buy houses, buy bigger homes, and the price surged. And compare that to an apartment. Oh, wrong way. Warriewood apartment. Where is it? Hang on. Sorry, guys. It's not letting me shift. Oh. Okay, that's DY. There you go. Warriewood units, 20%. So half. But, Mark, it still made 20%. So when people like buy a house that's better, it's like, okay, yeah, 40% growth compared to 20. But you're not going to be kicking yourself going, oh, damn, I only bought a unit. If you bought something for $1 million, it's made 200 grand in 12 months. That's amazing. So it may not be the...
And look, there's other factors, guys, you've got to consider. There's COVID. There was GFC, there was life. So being an agent for 30 odd years, I've seen a lot of different cross sections happen in the market. A lot of volatilities happen in the market. And again, bringing that back to the unit versus house arm wrestle, in the GFC, guys, I saw the complete opposite happen. In the GFC, I saw such a massive push with the government offering first home buyer incentives. You remember we had the First Homies campaign?
Yep.
The First Homies campaign was, this is 2008, even pushing across to 2011. People were really, really pushing units to be sold, to pump infrastructure, to pump building and stuff like that, jobs in the area in the GFC. Now, what actually happened is units went up violently. Units went up in a crazy manner and left houses behind. And what did I say to everyone when that happened? I said, don't worry, it will kick up. So the units that are doing really, really well, the prices are doing really, really well, the houses have not done really, really well. I said, don't worry, because the people selling the units will buy a townhouse or house. The people buying a townhouse or house will sell that to buy a bigger house. People buying a bigger house will sell the bigger house, and it'll come back to the units again. It almost goes full cycle. Don't forget.
Yeah, because if you're selling your apartment for that little bit more, you can pay more for that upsize. And we actually saw it in the complete reverse, because I remember looking at these graphs at the beginning of the year, and just it was the reverse. Houses at that time had done about 25% growth, and apartments were negative 1%, 0.1, basically no growth. So it was it was crazy to see houses up 25% and apartments even. But because everyone was spending more on houses, either they're selling their house for more and downsizing, which means they were spending more on apartments, or people were priced out of houses and there was more competition in units. So in Warriewood, there's basically probably been, even though that's 20% 1 year, it's probably 20% in the last 6 months or 4 months, really.
Now, to our viewers who are watching, do you think a house is a better investment? Do you think a unit is a better investment in time? Love to know your opinion.
Yeah, and to make it more comparable, probably think of it this way. You've got $2 million. Do you buy 1 million units or 2 million house? Because a lot of people, if you just think, well, a house, but I can't afford a house. Like, think of it, $2 million to spend. Would you rather the house? And I think a lot of people, like we've talked about land tax on a show previously, and with 40% growth in residential, those houses and that land tax bill is going to double. So if it's an investment, you could be paying 15, 20 grand in land tax for the year, which you simply don't have to that extent.
All right, Burge, let's sum it up. Ask yourself the question: $2 million. There's $2 million. Would you buy one house? Would you buy 2 units? Honest question, hand on your heart.
I'd probably buy 2 units. Take away any development outside of a house. 2 units. Higher yield, lower maintenance, lower tax, land tax is probably where I'm leaning towards 2 apartments rather than 1 house. Because then you'd have to spend the money. You'd just have to create the extra income, put a granny fund in a house, do all that stuff. But I think I'd lean towards 2 apartments, to be honest.
That's for investment. Now to live in, what would you do if you had $2 million and it was your first property?
I'd buy a house. If I was going to live in it for family, 100%. I'd rather probably be in a house.
But as a single bloke, you'd probably still go 2 units. Not putting words in your mouth, just asking the question.
Yeah. 2 units.
Because you're not sleeping on your money.
Not sleeping on my money. You can tax write-offs. Yeah. I think it's great to own a house, but depending where you are, I think definitely apartments. Better tax write-offs, depreciation, a little bit more rental return. Yeah.
And just to confirm what sleeping on your money is you could live in a $5 million house and you sleep on your money, or you could live in a unit and have 4 units that are rented out. Those 4 units that are rented out, you're not sleeping on the money. They're working for you because they got the rent coming in. So that's
Yeah. What about you, sir?
Investment or live in?
Both.
Investment. We've got a comment here. Guys, if you want to make a comment, jump on the Novak channel. The other channels that you may be watching on won't work.
Carol has said
you can't
1
manufacture
house.
growth in a unit.
Yeah, 100% correct. It's a lot easier to add value to a house, renovate it, add a granny flat, add a second story, and a lot of the time you just don't have that with an apartment. But then you've got that. Then you're more got a budget of 2.5, 2.3. So depending what your budget is, that if I had $2 million, you'd probably buy a $1.5 million house, invest 500 grand onto it. So, but what are your thoughts, Mark?
That's good. That's a good point, because you've got Carol's mentioned, because you can renovate the inside of a unit, but you can't renovate the outside of a unit. With a house, you can renovate the inside and outside to add value. So to add value, there's two facets you can do. On a house and on a unit, it's only on the inside. It's one facet. What would I buy if I was buying an investment property? If I had $2 million for investment properties, I personally would buy 2 units, because at the moment, people and I are getting annihilated with land tax. So in New South Wales, get this, in our core area, if you buy a house for $2.2 million, and you have other investment properties, $350 a week of the rent goes towards land tax. I don't get that in a unit. I'll tell you in a sec why.
Yeah, because we did that show not too long ago. And keep in mind, a lot of ours, I know for people watching, maybe like a house, I'm speaking for myself, but probably for you as well, Mark, we're of the mindset we're never selling. So growth is great, but if we can get those little wins in rental returns, tax depreciations yearly, rather than the longer term growth. Don't get me wrong, long-term growth is good, but we're not looking what's going to make more capital growth in 3 years so I can flip it. And that's probably is a house. But over long term, I'd rather, I think just to put it in perspective where my answer is coming from as well. And I think you're very similar, Mark.
Well, you can almost buy 3, just considering land tax, because I just told you about that then, and it's a big annual bill. You can own 3 or 4 units worth $2 million, and 3 or 4 units worth $4 million
Mm.
and pay the same land tax than you would have for a house that's worth $2 million. I think it's even 4 or 5 units. So but my point is that land tax, and when you add that up over the course of a 10-year period, you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars difference.
Well, that's it.
Anyway.
There. If you're paying 20 grand land tax, 10 years, 200 grand, that's 10% capital growth you need to make up just for that expense.
Yeah. So that's as an investment. As a house, guys and girls, make yourself happy.
And thanks for that
If you
comment,
need a house,
Carol.
buy a
Really
house.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we love comments.
Yeah.
I
I think that's a wrap.
reckon
Anything else?
that's
God,
a
we
wrap.
could talk for an
That's a
hour
wrap.
on that. I didn't expect that. That 15
Look,
minutes
there's
was
so
so quick.
There's so many places to go with it, and I think for me, summarising and rolling it up, I would just say you just buy what you need, guys. If you need toilet paper, just buy what you need. If you need a house, you buy a house. Your townhouse, you buy a townhouse. A unit, you buy a unit. Buy what you need. Don't buy less. Don't buy more than what you need. That's basically what you do. Investment wise, I reckon I like units.
I just want to pull out what you just said there because I think it's very important. You've got what you need, but you need to know what you need. It's either lifestyle you're buying for, emotional, family, or it's an investment. Don't mix them up because you could get very different answers. Because you may be wanting an investment, but you're thinking emotionally, so you buy the house and it's not better for you. So I think the most important question is this an investment or is this lifestyle, family, and then go from there. But I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. And guys and girls, if you want us to cover a topic, direct message us or put a comment in here and we'll cover that topic for you every morning at 7:45.
Thank you. Cheers, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Burgio.
Oh, wrong button.